Alright, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. This is going to be an audio version of How's It Going, Sam? And I haven't done an episode in probably about 2-3 months. I think it's been about 2-3 months. I don't know if it's episode 9, 10, 11, 12. But I'm just going to express what's going on with me. I've been praying a lot and reading a lot lately from the book of Colossians, and I'll give a scripture reading a little bit later. But for the main part of this, I will share with you guys. Woke up this morning, wasn't feeling it. I had to take care of some errands. You know how those days you're not feeling the day. You're just not feeling it. You're just like, oh man, I gotta get up. But hey, you gotta pay bills. You gotta take care of business. So went and I took care of part one of it. And I basically had to let the dog, my sister's dog, out of her crate and let her walk around a little bit. It's been a good day. Woke up, made some ginger tea. You guys seen that video? It's coming up. Probably first. You'll probably see the ginger tea. I forget what the name of ginger tea in Filipino is. I think it's called sabat or something of that nature. It's one of those things that my dad used to make all the time, like at least twice a week. He said that was very helpful, and I agree with him. It's, if anything, if it might not always help with a sore with a cold or a flu, but definitely it helps with the sore throat. It helps with mucus. If you have mucus in your lungs, if you're congested, I would go with I always try to go for the home remedies first as much as possible. Recently I tried oregano oil. Someone was suggesting oregano oil to me, and so what I did was I tried that oregano oil, and it's supposed to be good as an antibacterial. It's supposed to be good for various skin issues, and guess what? That you end up smelling like a pizza all the time. You smell like a pizza. So that's what's going on, Sam. How come you smell like a pizza? So I smell like a pizza. So let's see. What else? If you've probably seen, I've been putting some random short videos up lately. I had a commentary track. I'm testing out this new microphone. It's a generic microphone I got at Target, and it's called the Samson microphone. It's not anything special, but I wanted to upgrade my podcast video stuff a little bit. I haven't haven't had much of an opportunity to do too many videos lately, so what I was doing was remixing, resampling some of my old footage, testing it out with the audio equipment that we do have. And so what happens is, the fact is, I just felt creative in that way. And what I've noticed is the fact that it's not a bad thing. It's a very good thing to, on your days off, when you're not at the day job, when you're not doing what you got to take care of business at for your regular life, to go back to the creative stuff. Some people, I've had friends, not too many of them, but I've had friends that went into Hollywood, went to Los Angeles, went into the entertainment industry, and one of them, I'm not going to mention names, but he's a comedian, stand-up comedian. I've seen him probably 3 years ago at a stand-up routine, and he just looked like a zombie. It was like, oh my God, you're just so drained from constantly doing gigs, constantly doing events, going to different places, trying to be Mr. Funny Man. And I'm like, I wanted to just tell him, hey dude, you need to take a rest and remember why you're doing it. You're doing this, are you trying to be a people pleaser? Are you trying to make the money? Why are you in this business if it doesn't look like you have any joy anymore? And it's really sad for a comedian, stand-up, someone who's had HBO specials and who's done a lot of big old things. It just looked like, wow, where's the fun? Where's the fun of doing it? If you want to say you're paid to do that, it just goes back to the how do you say that? The old story of long ago. Will a man gain will a man sell his soul to lose the world? What would a man sell? Will a man sell his soul to gain the world? That's how it goes. I'm still a little drained and groggy right now, but I'm gonna have a day where I'm probably gonna rest today, have a little bit of a Sabbath rest for myself, and just enjoy it. Just enjoy the company of my 2 dogs. Well, actually, my dog Murray and the little Pomeranian dog. Just make sure she runs around. She has a good old time. So that's what I did. People are asking me how's the web series going. I'm still in pre-production. We are getting closer. Hopefully we can start filming episode 1 either tomorrow or within the next 2 weeks. It has to line up. The problem with, especially if you're independent, if you're doing videos, doing films on a no-budget situation, I'm not saying that we don't have it. It's just that when you have an all-volunteer cast and crew, you have to work with their schedule. You have to be mindful of people's times. Our actors right now, they're preparing. I started out with the foundation. You start off with the film treatment. For me, I do that. Story outline, points. Then I go into the script. After I write the script, I give it to my actors. I give it to my crew. I give it to my cinematographer, editor, all that, lighting person. Depends on, like I say, especially if you're going into a situation where it's a all volunteer cast and crew. You have to make sure that you're mindful of people's time, because time is like a vapor. It will vanish in a blink of an eye. You won't get the opportunity to go back to where you need to go back to. Let's see. I'm drinking some ginger tea in my car right now. Put a little bit of honey in there. So I got the ginger tea. Let me make sure I don't do... There we go. I don't want to mess this up. So I got this new microphone yesterday. Went over to Wally Mart, and it's a good old thing to have this new microphone. It's kind of a nice setup. So, like I said, I went over to... We're getting that ready with episode 1 of our web series, which is a Christian-based short anthology. That's all I'll say about that. Our actors are satisfied with the script. They were actually excited because before I wrote it, I've talked about this for months. But what happened was I wrote the script and I didn't have my actors. I thought I had some actors, and I prayed. I said, God, who do you want me to put this in? And then what happened was one of the brothers from our church gave his testimony. He gave a testimony of what's going on in his life. Let me drink some of this tea. Good old ginger tea. Can't beat that. Good old ginger tea and honey. I don't know if I should keep putting the honey in there, but my voice is a little bit sore right now, but it's all good. So the brother gave his testimony, and he testified. When you testify about what the Lord has done in your life, what the Lord is doing, the joy and the prosperity that God can give, that's something else. And right then and there, the Holy Spirit showed me this is a couple that you need to be your actors for episode 1. I wrote out 6 more episodes. I wanted it to be a full season, and we have to play it by ear. Like I said, when you work with an all-volunteer cast and crew, and it has to be that way right now. I think there's a certain point where me and my business associates, where my crew will want to get into a paid situation where we can pay our actors, where we can pay our video editors, our cinematographers, but we're not there yet. And what I've noticed is the fact is that if you do it for the passion, if you do it for, even in the world, like you have people that are filmmakers that spend years on passion projects just making sure that the work gets done. they financed it themselves. Spike Lee, one of the infamous stories about Spike Lee was that he to finish his film back in the day, back in the late 80s or mid 80s, they cashed aluminum cans to scrounge up the money for the film stock. And that's back in the days when people actually made movies on film. Which is a big process. If you want me, I'll tell you a little bit about my situation with film. I did well. There's a couple things. I worked on a movie set. 20 years ago, and I was a volunteer intern. And in fact, I wound up interning with a couple. It was an independent film, but I worked with a couple people that are in the Hollywood business, and it was when I was living in the Bay Area, right after college. So I get this internship as a production assistant working on this independent film, and it was a blast. It was oh my goodness, it was so fun. The only thing is, and what I've noticed is like, wow, in some ways the industry in 20 years has changed, but in some ways it hasn't changed. And I think the biggest the advice that somebody gave me, who was a filmmaker, and I'll mention his name. His name is Philip Kankatanda, and he was a playwright, or is a playwright that originally was from Stockton, California, but I met him in San Francisco. And when he told me that he was from Stockton, and he found out that I was from Stockton, there was like a little bit of connection. And he's a writer, and I'm a writer. So even back then I was a writer. So I kind of explained, let me get some more tea. And I have to say it this way. I don't know if Philip Gatanda's made another movie, but the advice he gave me for myself was, actually he made a short movie that I know of before that. And then what he did was made another movie. That was the movie I helped on. It was called Life Tastes Good. If you see the credits, you'll see somebody that you probably wouldn't recognize, but or you might recognize. Depends on what TV shows you watch. But everybody's heard of Lonely Island, the comedy troupe, Yorma, I think it's Tacone. He was an up-and-comer back then. He was the production assistant that was helping me sweep the floors and get the burritos for the actors and get all of the food, and we would go on food lunch break runs and go get food. We were like the gophers, but we were called production assistants. So Norman made it big time, and I give him a lot of props for that. He's always a cool guy. The conversations we had on those 4 weeks that we worked him on set, he was just, like I say, he was a production assistant. He was cool peoples. Nothing bad to say about that. The other actors I met were all good. They were all talented. Mita, she was in Karate Kid Part 2. Sab Shimono, I believe his name's Shimono. He was in a lot of movies. He's a Japanese American. You will not probably recognize his name, but you will recognize the roles he's been in. He's been in a whole bunch of roles. I believe he's been in the latest Man in the High Castle series from Amazon last year. I haven't seen that one. I don't have Amazon. But working on that set was a learning lesson. Philip told me straight out back 20 years ago that an independent movie by Hollywood standards is something made under $2 million. I believe because with the technology now, that's probably gone way down. I've heard stories of movies at Sundance, stories of movies at different places that people have made movies for under $1,000. And El Mariachi with Robert Rodriguez, that was made supposedly for $7,000, but that was before the final cut was released into theaters. But that's one thing. Philip, who mentored me on that film, I was his production assistant. I was a props manager, not manager, but props assistant manager. Jennifer was. But I'll tell you this. You will learn if you ever get a chance to work on a film. If it's volunteering, take that opportunity. You'll learn from the cinematographers. You'll learn from the actors, how see their stagecraft, how they act. Different actors perform different ways. And acting in a play is different than acting in a film. Especially, something that has money behind it. One thing I had that scared me for a long time was what Philip, he had bank investors. He had people straight up giving him thousands of dollars. And one thing with the movie, especially an independent movie, there's no guarantees that you'll get your money back. There are no guarantees that they'll make their investment back. But there's a risk you take, and if you're risking with other people's money, sometimes it's easier to make a project because there's not the added hassle of like, is this going to make money? Is this not going to make money? And it hurts the creative process. I don't know how I got on that tangent. That's what's been going on. It's Filipino American History Month. A lot of people don't recognize it because it's not advertised as much. A lot of Filipino Americans don't even know it. What I will say is the fact is there's a lot of good history and culture and a lot of things that as a Filipino American that we should know about. There's a lot of things as Americans we should know about. But for being from Stockton, California, having family that's faced a lot of injustices back in the day, one thing that I will share with people, and I don't want to say it too much, but one thing that there were signs posted up in the same same area of town as downtown Stockton back in the 1920s and 30s that said, "No dogs or Filipinos allowed in the store. No Filipinos allowed." And there was discrimination. I mean, you could hear the stories of men that were college educated, that were lawyers, that were doctors in the Philippines back in the 20s and 30s, and a little bit earlier and afterwards. When they came to the United States, they could only get jobs as bellhops. They could only get jobs as field workers, asparagus cutters, as cherry pickers, as maybe they could rise to the ranks of foremen of a farm labor contract. They couldn't get the things. They were denied basic dignities in life. When I saw that old picture when I was in high school, and it said this was in Stockton. It said no dogs or Filipinos allowed here. I just spilled some tea on me. All right, but I will share that. That's what happened with that situation, and it's it's a rough situation to be in because nowadays there's a lot of my people as Filipino Americans that don't know that history, that came in other waves of migration to the U.S. where they didn't have to face that. Not like my grandparents. They got paid $1 a day for working in asparagus fields, for working in tomatoes, working in cherries. They were treated harsh living conditions. My grandmother, they would live in the compost. There were the camps, the farm labor camps. And it was a story that she kept it so clean with the farm labor in the camps that she basically the dirt floor looked so shiny like linoleum. I asked my mom that before. How did that happen? And she said, well, she put like candle wax on the dirt, let it harden. And then they cleaned it, and they cleaned it so well. Let's see. So I got some people here. Okay. So anyway, one thing living on a busy street in Stockton, California, you will constantly see people. There's never a time. I think this little video might be over pretty soon. But, you know what? I went 19 minutes. I don't think it's over yet. That's something else. I thought it was going to over in 10 minutes. But we're going to keep talking. I keep talking and talking. So I will tell you this. I'm going to close out now. Until next time. Take care.